Yeah, so welcome everyone for the second talk on IoT and AI applications in healthcare. So along with me, we have Uma Maheswari. She's from Johnson Control. So let me introduce her first. She has 17 years of experience in engineering design, business engagement, and delivery in India, and customer experience in Canada. She has extensive experience in designing and developing integrated building management solutions for large, complex, high-risk healthcare, life science, building automation projects, focusing on HIS, EMR, integrated platforms, and other IT systems. She possesses deep knowledge in smart hospital requirements to improve patient experience, safety, and operational efficiency. Instrumentalization through IT digital healthcare, IoT, and analytics solution. She has worked in key OEMs like Johnson Controls India, Honeywell, and handled projects in various industrial sectors like smart cities, airports, commercial buildings, and specialized in life science projects. So, welcome, Uma, for the second talk of Triple ITDM Kanchipuram EMBS talk series. So, you can, if possible, you can switch on your camera and
Yeah, I have enabled my camera.
okay, that's great. Yeah,
Yep.
that's good. Thanks. Thanks a
Okay.
lot. You can start now. Thanks.
Yep. Thank you. Thanks, Uttam. Good morning, everyone. As Uttam had given a good brief about my background, so I'll just quickly get into the presentations what I have prepared for today. So first of all, I guess many of you might have been in the holiday mood because it's quite a long weekend. But I would need some 30 to 40 minutes of your time just to brief about what this IoT and AI applications are and what we are doing in the healthcare industry. The overall architecture of this particular presentation would be you would be understanding about what is healthcare and what is actually the IoT and AI role in the healthcare and how it is being used in the healthcare and what are the challenges and what is the future of the IoT and AI in healthcare. So this is what the content on the architecture of the presentation for today. So you would be able to get the context of what you're going to listen today. So the takeaway that I plan that you should carry when you're completing this presentation is so what are the ways that you would be able to contribute to the business world in terms of AI and IoT, the challenges what the business world is facing in terms of meeting the requirements of the user. So in the way of digital transformations and the IoT and the AI, these are the different jargons and the terminologies being been floated in the society for quite long. So in what way you would be able to contribute to the challenges that are prevailing in the market at this point of time, so that you would be able to focus your learnings and the quest in accordance to it, so that it would meet the demands that are existing in the market now. So, to start with, first of all, I would like to set the context of what is healthcare for this particular 30 to 40 minutes of the discussion that we are going to do. What is healthcare really mean for this particular presentation is you might have come across the robotics, machine learning, and then the IoTs, everything in all the industries. But you think like healthcare service industry is the one where human touch is really needed. You may not be able to replace the robots or the machines with the staff and the doctors or the personnel who is working in the hospitals or the big healthcare environments. So how we are actually going to support the users in the sense it could be a patients or it could be a staff or it could be a admin personals or it could be a doctors who are all existing in the healthcare building. How are we going to support them? So here, if you see, in the environment, what I'm working on, the industry, what I'm being, equipped with is more about creating a better environment for the patients who are being admitted into the hospital. So I'm not going to talk about the medical devices or the machineries that are being used in the hospital, but I'm going to talk about the entire facility of the hospitals. So the people who are all using the facility, how they would be able to effectively use the facility by using the technologies of this IoT or AI or whatever it is. To go into that, first we will understand what we are actually going to do in the entire healthcare facility. So what we create is we'll create an environment for better patient comfort and experience, because the patients are the ultimate. I can say the customers would be a bit cruel word, but still they are the ultimate people who actually experience the building, and they have to be kept in a comfortable and and the experience should be well enough so that they can the healing time of the patients would be a bit faster, in addition to the medicines what have been given to them. And the second thing is about the optimization of the entire facility. So any building, irrespective of whether it is a hospital or it could be an airport or it could be a commercial building, the optimization of the utilization of the building is one of the key requirements, and it plays a major role in the healthcare building, because there are multiple missionaries and the multiple types of peoples and the multiple levels of understanding of the people are being engaged in a hospital, and how intelligently we are optimizing the facility so that the energy and the bills and the area of the hospital is used effectively. And then how the modern technologies can be and the systems can be deployed to effective utilization of the hospital, and also to do the better patient comfort. So this is what the healthcare in the presentation that we are going to talk about now. So I just want to set the context or the ground rule that whenever I use a terminology called healthcare, I'm going to talk about the facility of the building, the healthcare hospital building, and then the patients who are all the doctors or the people who are all inside the building, and how effectively AI or IoT can be utilized to enhance the utilization of the buildings and the comfortness of the users of the building. Okay. So recently, there were many surveys being conducted by the Healthcare Financial Management Association. You will not believe this financial management in the healthcare is one of the key point where um, many. I think it's quite untapped market in the entire world about how the financial technologies in healthcare need to be worked out. But yeah, I'll not get into that now. I'll just go into the topic of what the survey they have conducted. And when they were speaking to the different owners of the healthcare buildings, it was told that almost more than 50%, like almost 61% of the building users wanted to deploy AI or machine learning into their facility. So it's not just they focus only on the medical machineries, advanced medical technologies inside the building, and at the same time they wanted to deploy a good AI mechanism into their building, so that the effective utilization of these medical machineries can be worked out inside the building. And to the surprise, like more than 38% of the organizations have already started deploying the technology. So now the trend requirement is we need to support them with the enhancements or additional requirements to meet their demands in the building. Okay. So if you could say the automation technologies after this pandemic, it had tripled from 2020 to 2022, which is tremendous growth in this particular industry. So now we spoke about what healthcare is, and what exactly the context that we're going to talk about in the healthcare is. Now, how this IoT, and AI is used in the healthcare, like where it is used, like what are the places that it can be used. Like whenever we use any hospital facility, we talk about getting the appointment to the doctor and meet the doctor and get the prescriptions and then take any test if needed, and then we come out of the building. But when you think about a multi-specialty hospitals or a big hospitals or even a small clinics, where do you think this IoT or AI can be used, and how well it can be utilized so that the users of the building can be made comfortable, feel comfortable? So, so whenever we talk about the devices that are there in the hospital, you would be having multiple devices. Either it could be the X-ray machines, or it could be the MRI machines, or it can be an hospital facility or information system. So these machines or devices need to be connected together so that any useful information that we would be able to derive from them makes sense to the facility owners. And also we need to have some common IoT devices. Either it could be a thermostats, like you would have seen, controlling the room temperature inside any ward or the open space. We would need a thermostats or the temperature sensors, and also we would need to have a automatic lighting. And then the security systems, like not everyone would be able to enter into the isolation rooms, so not everyone would be able to enter into the data center rooms in the hospital. So these common IoT devices or need to be integrated together. That is one of the applications. And then monitor the access points, and then look into the security cameras and look into the sensors. This is another place where the IoT and AI is being deployed. And one important aspect is tracking the people inside the building. Either it could be an employee, or it could be an equipment, or it could be a patient. So their movement and tracking can be monitored by tagging them with the special devices, which I'm going to explain in the upcoming slides. So this is basically, we are trying to set up a hostile environment for the physicians, for the patients, and for the facility operators. So who are all the people that majorly utilizes the building? They should be integratively be aware of the building performance, so that they can effectively utilize the building features and come up with the better energy utilization. Okay. So now we got to know about where we are using and what we are doing there. Now I'm just wanted to highlight few applications that we are doing in the healthcare building. So I'm going to focus more than 5 to 6 cases here, and of how this artificial intelligence can be imprinted into the behavior of the hospitals, so that it would provide you the better comfort or experience to the users. So first of all, we'll talk about, the moment we think about the hospital, the first thing comes into our mind is the wardrooms, the patient wardrooms. So how are we going to effectively make the comfort and experience of the patient? So anyways, the smart is the word that has been used everywhere, to make anything work by itself. So we have a technology called smart wardroom, where the patient is the actually the center, and the bed where the patient would be lying is the platform. So on which we are actually trying to work out the database management of the patient records. Okay, so whenever the patient is lying on the bed, when he is not able to move or he's been paralyzed to move, then he would be able to control the room environment. Within the temperature of the room can be controlled by himself, and then the audio visual display systems will be having a, the smart TVs, and then the smart voice control systems that he or she would be able to control, and then lighting controls inside the building, and then the nurse call stations, and then the bedside terminals. So all these happen within a small device. By keeping that in the hand of the patient, he or she would be able to control the entire operation of the wardroom, and also the smooth transition of this operation of the wardroom from patient to the staff or to the medical staff happens when there is any emergency. That is another scenario that we are going to discuss about. But during the normal conditions, the complete the control of the room can be provided to the patient with small handheld device. It could be either a tab or a sort of a bedside terminal by which he or she would be able to control the room. Then this is one of the most important application, which is prevailing very common in the US or Canada markets, but in India it is slowly picking up. Monitoring the real-time location of the patients or the staff inside the building. So this is one of the emerging technologies in India, where we would be monitoring the patient movement, and also work out the infant and the mother connections and protections. So first of all, let's talk about, whenever a patient is inside the wardroom, and there is a risk that the patient may wander inside the building premises. Before we find out what the patient is doing, we would be able to have an RFID tag for the patient, with which the the tracking of the patient can be done through the RFID, through the cloud control software, and have that in our tracking software in our centralized location in the automation room. So the staff, when I say staff here, it could be a nurse or it could be a medical staff who is actually helping the patient. So they would be made alert whenever the RFID tag is being raising alarm when the patient goes out of the controlled area, or when the patient falls, when the patient is moving to the unauthorized location. So the alarm would be given to the staff to ensure that the patient is bring back to his normal location. Or it can, if you think about in the other way, uh, there are some risky cases where the infant protection is become one of the key factor, where you would be able to protect the baby by having an RFID tag in the baby's hand, so that whenever the baby is being moved from any location, it can be easily tracked, and the association of baby and mother can also be easily done at the the ward level. So there are some good technologies available on this RFID readers, and then bringing the values over the cloud, and then bringing them back to the tracking software where analytics are being made on these the patient wandering and the movements. So here I'm just talking about the application side, but the requirement is more on the development side, like how we are actually bringing all the data together into our tracking software. How are we actually analyzing the data and giving alert to the respective staff, and how actually we are protecting the data of the patients inside the tracking software. Or these are some of the factors which we need to look into when we actually develop or work on these technologies. So I'm to keep it simple, I'm talking about the application side, and if there are more interest, then we can talk on the development side at a later point of time. And this is one of the smaller applications that I have seen even in the clinics, or in the smaller hospitals nowadays. We will be having an application in the handheld device, whether it can be a mobile or it can be a tab, where this pathfinder will give you the way of how to get into the building, like where the pharmacy room is, and where the x-ray room is, where the MRI room is. So with this pathfinder application, the people would be able to get into the hospitals easily. So this is one of the important application requirement for a healthcare building, because whenever we get into any multi-specialty hospitals, there are multiple areas that we need to visit. It could be we meet the doctor and they'll ask us to go to pharmacy, then they'll ask us to go to billing sections. So the need of the hour is we need to have an cost-effective application that can be installed into the handheld device of any patient or the visitor, so that they would be able to find out the way inside the hospital. So there are some good softwares already been available, but if the people would think about any cost-effective way how it can be achieved, that is one of the breakthrough that could happen in the AI and IoT market in the healthcare. Okay, this is another key factor that happens in the hospitals, like Internet of Medical Things. So there are so many medical things inside the building. It could be a mobile devices, or it could be a diagnostic devices, or it could be a nurse data, or it could be an ambulance. So there are multiple ways the devices are being working in the hospital in silos. So the IoT talks about connecting all these devices onto one platform called cloud, where these data can be analyzed, and the respective feedbacks can be given to the other devices within the network. So now there are three major IoTs prevailing in the market. It could be an in-home, where the patient sits in the hospitals and transmits his or her medical data to the from their home to the hospital. So this is one of the emerging technology called remote patient monitoring. And then on body IOMT, like where the patient wears the vital monitoring, like you see in your smartwatches, where you have the heartbeat and then your calories, running speed, etc. Similarly, there are some high-end on body devices are there which the patient need to wear, And then whenever the value goes any more than the alert value, then immediately the alarm goes to the staff who are in the hospital, so that the action can be taken immediately. So another emerging market here is this on-body IoMT, where we are in need of developing the medical devices that can be worn by the patient, which will transmit the information to the cloud of the hospital environment. I have come across many good devices where the vital monitoring of heartbeat, and then the blood pressure, and then sometimes even the sugar levels in the body are being monitored and sent through cloud. It's a small device that being worn over the chest of the patient. Many innovations are needed on that aspect also, depending upon the size of the device which we are using. Right now, the device maximum size I'm seeing is about 3 by 3 inches of size, where the patient feels it's a bit bigger size. So, the contraction of the medical side devices size is one of the key requirement, in which also the response time of the device to the hospital cloud is also another key requirement, which where the research is required to be done. And then another key aspect is the in-house Internet of Medical Things, where the sensors and the other tracking systems, which I'm shown in the picture here, you might be able to see the mobile device, the monitoring systems of the patient, and then the nurse calling stations. All those data need to be integrated over the cloud. So it's not just integrating the cloud. There are some ways and the protocols available to do that, which I'll bring that in the upcoming slides. Yeah. So another key thing which you might have come across many times is the fault detection and the diagnostics. So it is not, and also more about the predictive technology. It's not just about detecting the fault and then coming out of the solution after the fault had happened. Instead, there are some algorithms or the predictive models that have been made to predict the fault that's going to happen inside the building based on the history data what we have. So the machine learning techniques for predicting the consumption of the building. In our case, it is the consumption of the building or the fault detection of the building. See, for example, when I say building, it's not just the building; it is the equipment that are being residing inside the building. So any medical devices that may go wrong may create lot of millions of dollars of loss to the hospitals, and also it could result in the safety of the patient also. So to ensure that we are actually analyzing the patterns of failures from the past data using our advanced machine learning techniques, and we are developing a predictive model to maintain the device at the required timelines, and also to ensure that the fault detection happens in advance, so that the patient and the staff who are residing inside the hospital are secured from the failures. So this the algorithm development or the predictive model development is also the emerging technologies in the healthcare, which requires many innovations need to be done there, because the for analyzing the forecasting model, because big data of analyzing the data in the forecasting model is really a critical factor, because any forecasting model, if it provides incorrect information, then it leads to the incorrect judgments also. So the forecasting model that we are developing based on the historical data should be a high end supervised learning model. Okay. In which many technologies have been derived in the Western countries, but I see in India we are still lagging. But yeah, I have seen these being done in the other countries already. Yeah. So now another key aspect in the hospital is the isolation room. So when we say isolation room, it is the where the patients are being isolated from the normal patients who are in the admitted in the other wards of the building. For example, in the recent pandemic, we might have noticed that the patients need to be isolated from their relatives as well inside the home that we have gone through. Similarly, in the hospitals, we have multiple isolation rooms available where different types of contagious disease infected patients are being admitted, and the doctors could not enter into the isolation room because they may also get into that disease. Either it could be an airborne infectious disease, or it could be the on contact diseases. So we need to ensure that the monitoring and controlling of the environment inside the smart isolation rooms are ensured, so that the spread of pathogens are being controlled inside the room. And also the biosensors that are being worn by the patient are to be network enabled, so that we are actually cover the patient, the doctors can monitor them remotely outside the room, and can enter into the room only when it is critical to be there inside the room. So such technologies are being prevailing to monitor the patients who are admitted in the isolation rooms, which is again the smart isolation rooms. And also there are good technologies available to convert any normal room into a smart isolation rooms within short span of time, because whenever the pandemic breaks, we will not have time to build the hospitals. So nowadays, whenever the hospital is being built, it is being built as a ready now hospital for the future pandemics, and there are many provisions are being made in the hospital itself, so that it will be able to convert it into a isolation room in the future. So there are many case studies available for such applications in the China and also in the India markets. Maybe if time permits, I'll show them. Okay,
Okay.
and we'll talk.
And we'll talk.
I'm getting the
I'm
echo.
getting the echo.
Yeah. So we'll talk about the rapid response system. So in any building, whenever the patient needs to contact the doctor, it should be easily accessible. Like nowadays, we have many private rooms inside the hospital, where the doctors are being entering into the patient only when it is needed, or when the patient calls for them. So in those scenarios, we have a rapid response systems inside the rooms, where the doctor-patient connection would be able to establish within a few seconds of any emergency is being happening inside the patient ward room. So the terminology is called the code blue, which is actually the most common terminology used in any hospitals. So the code blue tells that the person inside the hospital is experiencing a life-threatening medical emergency. So he wants immediate attention of all the specialized doctors inside the hospital to take care of him or her, and come out of that emergency. So these code blue buttons are being operated by the patients or even by the nurse, if she or he comes across this. So the unified communication among the different the departments should happen when the code blue is being initiated. That is, whenever the patient or someone presses the code blue button inside the wardroom, then the pharmacists need to be informed, so that they can come up with the medicines immediately. The specialized doctors need to be informed, so that they can reach out to the room immediately. And then the ambulance services need to be kept ready if there is a need to go to some advanced medical care. And also the medical equipments inside the premises need to be made ready if some medical tests need to be done internally. So all these scenarios need to be integrated together and be alerted whenever the code blue is being initiated. So this communication happening across the hospital ensures the immediate or quicker response to save the patient. So this is called the rapid response code blue system, and many complicated communication is happening inside this integration, because in any hospital, it is not just we transmit the data over the packets and get the information back. There are some set protocols available for any hospital, which is called hospital information system, and the universally standardized protocols are available, which requires additional certifications to get into the development of these protocols and the integrations, which I believe is somewhat prevailing low in the India, or it's developing India, I can say. Okay, so far we have seen how it is being implemented in the hospitals, how the technologies are implemented in the hospitals. We wanted to understand what the challenges we are facing in the IoT, so that the people who are all actually listening here can come up with a better ideas that would help the society in future for the advancement in the industries. So majorly, when I say, where I'm integrating, whenever I talk about the cloud connectivity, I say that, I'm integrating all the devices together under one platform. All the medical machineries inside the building are being connected under one platform. So how this can happen? Like each device will have their own communication protocols, and they will operate in silos. So we have to make a common language so that we bring all the communication protocols bring under a common platform, so that the data aggregation, which was a bit difficult earlier, should be made easy now. Okay. So actually, nowadays, the common problem what the industry is facing is each device has their own closed protocol. It's not even an open protocol, like TCP IP or MSTP or a backnet. So it has got its closed protocol which is not open to the outside world. So we'll have to make a gateways, multiple gateways, so that the devices can speak to the gateways, and from there we would be able to pull up the information to the cloud, which is one of the major challenges here. And anyway, this is the most common threat you might have been hearing. Information is extremely susceptible to cyber attacks and the hacks. So we have specific norms and rules available in the European and the American healthcare industries. The personal health information of the patient need to be secured and tamper proof, so that the privacy of the patient is ensured. So the cyber threat is somewhat the all-time problem in the IoT, which needs to be tapped in with some advanced technologies. Then another thing is, there are so many devices inside the hospital, and so much amount of health data are being integrated towards the central cloud. So the analysis of and the decision making of the data becomes very difficult. So the big data analysis comes into the picture here, where we need to talk with different devices, and then bring out them to a common platform, and then analyze them and make some algorithms, so that we would be able to read and get useful information from the data. That is one of the challenges, and which requires more advancements in the healthcare. And some more challenges I would need to add. So now, uh, to address these challenges, what exactly the healthcare industry is looking for now? Like what exactly is the contribution that as a students would be able to make, so that the industry can grow tremendously in future. So the main thing is, that the knowledge of industrial protocols is very much important. Like what are the different types of protocols that are being used in the market, like used in multiple devices, how they communicate with each other, how they are being prepared or manufactured, so that they even if they operate in silos, how we would be able to bring them under common platform. This knowledge is something need to be, and I think like it has to be increased or developed. And then the development of interfaces, like application interfaces or SDKs, that we need to work upon, and or make any open protocol or open interface that talks with all the devices across the environment, hospital environment. And also, the patient needs to, the person, whoever working in this IoT or AI technology in the healthcare, he or she should be aware of the auditing technologies or the healthcare standards that are prevailing in the market, which is a universally accepted challenge, the protocol, which is the hospital portability and the auditing authority, which has some set standards which needs to be othered to work into the IoT and AI. The knowledge about this HIPAA needs to be developed, so that we would be able to make a compatible solution to the industry. And also, when I talk about the device security, the privacy policies of the personal health info, that is one of the sensitive factor being seen in the European countries. So the policy, the devices that we develop should adhere to this PHI policies, so that the data that we pull from the device is being secured and protected from any hacking or or tampering. And the knowledge of big data technologies is also one of the key factors, because we come up with so many devices each and every day. Every device is being equipped with the IoT. So when these devices are giving or putting up a lot of information onto the cloud, we need to analyze them and then make some sensible decisions out of that data. So for that, analyzing and knowledge of the big data technologies is one of the the requirements that the market is looking for. And anyways, the strong analytics and problem solving skill is required for any business industries, so that we would be able to be successful in integrating the solutions together. So the sometimes in the healthcare industry, it is not just about development of the protocols and then the development of applications, or the development of SDKs. It also depends on how we talk with the protocols of the hospital environment, because we have a separate protocol called HL7, which is prevailing only in the hospitals, which is a protected protocol for the and being standardized protocol only for the hospitals. So, whatever the medical device or the biosensor or the application that is being developed, it should be ensured that it is actually adhering to that HL7 protocol standards. Because many a times when we come across any biosensors, this is the factor which I see is being lagging. And again, we'll have to develop any APIs or SDKs to make it compatible with the HL7, and then bring the data to the network, and bring it to the cloud. So, so the sensors need to be simplified so that it can easily be integrated into the hospital network. This is the key requirement what the industry is looking for now. Okay. So what is the future? Almost we are in the closing phase of the presentation now. So what is the future of IoT and AI in healthcare? Now we have seen, bringing the data onto the cloud and reading and analyzing. But in the future, we have to ensure, like, what the where we are heading towards now is we are actually trying to work out the seamless communication across the HIS, like health hospital information system, in different facilities. Like for example, if you have an hospital in Singapore, it should be able to transmit the information to the hospital in the US or in the Europe or in India. So it is not just about sending the information over the email or sending the information over the document transfer. That should not that will not work here, because the HIS, the hospital information system, is one of the critical factors. If it get tampered, may result in some the disasters. So the unified communication across hospitals over the accepted protocol is one of the futures that we see in the healthcare. And then the automated patient admission system. This I believe one of the advanced expectations of the healthcare. It may take time to get implemented, but it is in the list to get into the future of the industry, where the patient from the home itself, he or she can fix the appointment and then book for the rooms. Like, I don't say compare with hotels, but yeah, it tells that how the patient can seamlessly get admitted into the hospital without any hassle. But yeah, that's in the least priority as of now in comparing to the technologies. But there are good application softwares are needed for this system. That is something which the market is looking for. Right now we have only few players who make this automated admission system. So we need to have some good platforms that does this admission system, or it could be either admission system, or it could be the wayfinding or the pathfinding system. So there are very few players are in the market, where it gives more opportunity for the people to develop the APIs there. And then the deeper machine learning for the fail-proof model is also one of the emerging or the future that I see in the healthcare. And also the scalable healthcare environment. So if you see any hospital that is being built for particular accommodating particular patients, should be able to scale up when there is a requirement to for like the case of pandemics. When it tries to expand, it should happen immediately. When I say in the smart isolation room, the hospital is nowadays being built in the way that it should be able to scale up or convert itself to respond to the pandemics in the future. So that is something emerging, that the hard lesson that we learned from the past pandemic experience. So now the hospitals are being built in this way only, like scaling up towards a pandemic in future. That's how the hospitals are being built. And for that, there are the requirement that the industry is looking for is how quickly it can be done. What are the smart applications that can be applied to make it happen is one of the developing technologies in the healthcare. Yep, I'm done with it. So hope the session would have given some information about what healthcare is doing or hospital buildings are doing in the industry. And if you have any questions, I can take that up and answer.
Yes, thanks a lot, Uma. It was a very informative session. We, as a means, I was not knowing much about the how IoT and AI is being used in the healthcare industry. So now it's like I have a very good information now. So I will wait for others to ask some questions. Else I will also ask some questions. So let's wait. So you guys can turn your microphone on, and then you can ask your question. Yeah, sure. Yeah, please go ahead.
So the session was very good. It was informative also. Thank you for that. I have one question. So, what are the computational complexities which you face because you're into the field of building the smart hospitals, where you're developing many sensors. So, the working of the sensors and communicating with the sensors, and then the maintenance of the sensors. So, what practical challenges and the computational complexity involved in realizing this IoT based smart
Okay.
hospital?
Yeah. So, as I mentioned earlier, so whenever any biosensor is being developed, or any biomachinery is being developed, it's always been developed to work under the silo. Like, it has been developed as a individual equipment to work in the hospital, or sometimes it has been allowed to give information to the outside world. But whenever we try to talk with that particular machine, we always face the challenges of making it compatible to the outside world. So we need to develop some special gateway so that that equipment would be able to talk with the outside world. Once the data is being pulled out of that equipment to our cloud, then the analysis of the data also becomes a critical. Like the computational models or the algorithms we need to develop is becomes critical because each device needs a specific way of algorithms. So the development of algorithm is a bit complex for each medical equipment. So that's what nowadays whenever a medical machinery is being purchased from the in any hospitals, we directly work with the machineries, the vendors, and to understand how they are going to give the information and what are all the typical data analysis that we would be able to apply to that machineries. So it's a topic altogether can be discussed for 10-20 minutes, I believe. But yeah, I can say making it compatible to the cloud platform, and then analyzing the data with respect to the different models is also one of the challenges that exist in the market at this point of time.
Okay, okay, thank you.
Thanks. I think Shraddha had raised a question or someone else. Yeah,
Yes,
Dr. Manu Rekha. Yeah, you want to go ahead? Yeah, please go ahead.
thank you, Ms. Umar. The presentation was very nice and it spoke exactly to the topic.
Yeah, your voice is breaking actually, Dr. Rekha, Manu Rekha. So sorry,
Uh,
can you repeat your question?
yes, is my voice better now?
Yeah,
Yes,
now it
yes.
is better. Yes.
Thank you, Ms. Uma, for the nice presentation. And you have exactly pinpointed what are the challenges that we are facing currently in the healthcare, especially from the connected hospital point of view.
Thank
From
you.
an academic perspective, I will like to have your thoughts on. You were talking about interoperability standards such as HL7, but this HL7, if we as academicians or students want to have some want to do some hands-on sessions, so how do we start with, because these seem to be costly to register for the courses, so
Yeah,
how do
yeah, yeah.
we learn about them?
Yeah. That is actually the challenge in the because being the HL7, being prevailing or upcoming technology in the industry, getting into the courses or learning into the courses of HL7 is, yeah, it is a bit expensive for the academic community. But when it comes to the business community, I guess we are being given trainings, or we are taking trainings on this HL7 to meet our business demands. But at this point of time, with the limited requirement of the monetary, what I tried earlier is to understand how the each device is being made compatible with HL7. What are all the interoperability techniques that are being made, utilized in the medical devices? One of the starting point where the people can start with, but very few offerings are being available in the market for this HL7. Maybe we can have some sessions only on the HL7 to educate the people about it. But the getting the certification on HL7 is mandatory to work in the protocol, because it involves critical transfer of information. And I believe soon it may the certifications may get the lesser cost if the demand increases in future. But at this point of time, I see the requirement is mandatory. Maybe we can have some knowledge sharing sessions on it, but without the certifications, I don't think any services that are made by the people are being accepted by the industry.
Thank you. Thank you. That was really nice to know. But as you said, these knowledge sharing sessions could help us in a great way
Yeah.
to understand what they are, because we
Yes.
teach them as theory, but we
Yeah.
don't know how to implement it practically. So some knowledge sharing sessions would be really
Yeah.
good. Thank
Sure.
you. Thank
Sure.
you for the suggestion.
Thanks.
We look forward to such sessions.
Sure.
Good morning, ma'am. Ma'am, I'm Shraddha.
I'm
Ma'am,
sure.
you mentioned about RFID tag, which has to be kept on the patient table
Yes.
so that it can be identified.
Yes.
Ma'am, recently in our lab, ma'am, there is a project which is about how it can be helpful. That tag can be helpful to find if the diaper is dry or it is wet. Baby's diaper.
Oh, okay. Good.
Yes, ma'am.
That's
So, ma'am,
good to.
I wanted to know about what is RFID and how we are using it for identification.
Oh, okay, okay. See, there are RFID is a common technology now. There are many good market vendors available. Like RFID, as you know, since you have already worked on it, it's just the radio frequency responding devices. So the technology what I have come across is mostly of the Bluetooth, where the RFID devices are connected over Bluetooth, and the gateway is being kept with accommodating maybe around 50 tags get accommodated, 50 devices get accommodated onto our Bluetooth gateway, from where the gateway picks up the information to our server. So that's how the technology happens. I have some good presentations on the RFID, but but not at the moment. But yeah, RFID, as you said, is a topic of discussion, where it could be either a wearable tag for the patient, or it could be a tag for the assets in the building also, like even the oxygen cylinders or the medical machineries can also be tagged with the RFID, so that the movement of the machines can be tracked with our tracking software. So when you say the communication, mostly the communication is through RFID and the radio frequency and the Bluetooth. And if you want me to give more information, I have to maybe jump to the other slides as well, but I don't have that right now. If you want, we can have a session on that separately. But uh, there are requirements of the I can say I don't want to say it's a cheaper, but yeah, the low cost technologies are needed in the market, because in our hospitals, in the hospitals that are prevailing in India, they may not be able to afford to the RFID advanced technologies on the Bluetooth, so that the information can be picked up from the radio frequency and then put it into our cloud. So if you have made some research on the RFID already, it should get extended to the this patient tags, because I have seen many startups who are actually working on this RFID development, tags development, and then bringing that onto the cloud. So I can share some links with Mr. Uttam, so that he can share with you to know about how the industries are performing on this RFID.
Sure, that would be very helpful. So I think Jagdish has raised the And yeah, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Yeah, thank you, Uttam. So basically, I do not have any questions. So, Uma madam, so thank you for the session. It was very informative.
Oh, thanks, Jagnesh.
Thank you. So, do we have any more questions? Okay, so I actually have one question, and that is the as you are discussing the fault diagnostic, and that is one of the very challenging application. So, like, has any of the hospitals in India implemented such devices as of now for fault diagnostic, automatic fault diagnostic? That is trying to know the history, and based upon that, we predict if there is
Mm,
going to be a fault or not.
okay. So, as such, not in India, honestly, because the cost that is being involved in this fault detection algorithm is somewhat a bit expensive for the market, for the hospitals in India. But we have some hospitals in Singapore and hospital in US where this technology has been deployed, and many good dashboards and analytics have been developed on this fault detection. And also, to accommodate the cost of this predictive modeling under the machine learning is somewhat, I can honestly say it is emerging in the healthcare. It is not quite matured yet.
Hmm.
So that the cost, because if you say it is emerging, obviously the cost of the supply would be more. So as such in India, we have not come across this one, but there are some pharma industries which have been come up with this fault detection, but that is more related to the I can say the manufacturing of the drugs, because since I'm been involved in both pharma and healthcare, I know about this, how pharma industries are handling it. But in healthcare, I can say in India it is yet to emerge, but yeah, it has been prevailing in the other countries already at an expensive rate.
I see. Nice, nice. Thanks a lot, Uma. So I wanted last question from my side. That is, what is the background of the students that you guys look for to work on similar lines on IoT and AI? So,
Hmm.
or is it like varied backgrounds? Like one can be
Uh,
see.
yeah. So it's not exactly, we would need to, basically, there are two aspects in this healthcare, the presentation what I have made here. There are two aspects here. First aspect is on the application side, where people develop, somebody has worked on it and somebody is applying it, and the other side is the development. So whether either it could be a development side or it could be at the application side. So when I say development, it's a development of our IoT protocols that need to be done, the development of the machine learning models, the development of the APIs, interfaces with to talking to our other medical machineries. So the development needs computer background. The development needs a programming background. And when it comes to the application, it doesn't, as such, I don't think it would need any solid background on the development or the computer background. So any person with a bachelor engineering degree who would be able to understand the instruments that are existing in the building would be able to apply that. But in long run, I feel application can be done by anyone. That's how the market is moving towards. So the requirement is more on the development side, where every day the APIs are required to be developed for every device. Every day I could see the interfaces now need to be developed for the many systems. So the person who actually gets into the development of this healthcare IoT digital transformation systems, he should be make him or her aware about the hospital standards, like Madam mentioned already, also about the HL7, and also about the HIPAA when they want to work in the international markets, because HIPAA is requirement in the US. So if they want to work in the international companies, then HIPAA is the mandatory requirement. And then having knowledge about the C hash, Python, and then the Java is quite older solution now. But yeah, uh, if they have the background, that would definitely help them to shine in the development of these protocols and the industries. And again, they should need to have some common understanding about the communication protocols that are actually occurring in the business. I guess with this, any entry level person can get into it and can develop some good models in the future.
Yes, thanks a lot. I think your talk would be inspiring to many people. I think Murugesh has one more question. Yes, Murugesh, you can unmute yourself and ask your question.
Good morning, madam.
Good
It's a
morning.
nice presentation. So I have two questions with the healthcare network. So since it's a network for a healthcare, so it's having sensors and antennas and RFID definitely. So it will undergo sweat. It will undergo sweats and all, right? So we have to ensure the wearability for a long time also, and
Yes.
we have to consider the lifetime, effective lifetime of the sensors and RFID and antenna and all.
Yes,
So
correct.
is there any standard protocol to monitor that, or otherwise we have to uh, like do that in trial and error?
Ah, okay. So it's not about trial and error. That is not that cannot. You have second question. We'll answer this and then we'll go to the second
Yes,
question.
yes, ma'am, yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. So there is no trial and error that has been allowed in our healthcare industry because we cannot fix the problem when after it had happened because it involves the safety of the patient. So the RFID that we are developing, the antennas that we are utilizing, anyway, antennas are kept in the place where it is secured in the premises. But when you talk about the RFID tags, mostly they should be waterproof, and then the break proof. Even if it falls down, it should not break, or it should not get tampered because of the damages. So it should be made of some rigid device. And I could say the meantime between the failures, it's allowed only I can say zero point 0.5 years. That is 6 months. So it is allowed to fail only for once in 6 months, not more than that. That's a industrially accepted standard. Okay, and that too, they are going to stringent that. Right now, whatever devices available in the market has the MTBF of 6 months only. But if you could have developed any other devices which has the capability of extending its services to more than that, it would be a good USP for the product.
Thank you, ma'am.
Yeah.
And one more question is, so since we wear the antenna and RFID for long time for patient, so the tissues of patient may undergo some back radiation. So what is this? Is there any standard to monitor like the back radiation?
No, not
So,
yet. Not yet. I understand the point where you're coming from. So at this point of time, I don't see any such mechanism available to monitor the radiations that are being captured from the any RFID tags. And also, I don't see those radiations are as harmful as the radiations that we are getting from the mobile phones. So at this point of time, no, that's a flat answer. We have to monitor the radiation or to understand the implication of this radiation over the patient is somewhat beyond the study at this point of time, because we are yet to mature in the RFID itself, because you in the hospitals that you have come across, even if you visit the multi-specialty hospitals, I don't see the patients are wearing, at least in India. But there are these solutions have been already prevailing in the Singapore, and most of the time I see the good hospitals are using this. But the radiation measurement from the RFID is yet untapped, which I think can be made as a study. But yeah, no, it's not been done yet.
thank you, ma'am. Thank you for your answers.
Thanks.
Thanks, Murugesh. So, do we have any questions, or we should wrap the session? Just wait for a few seconds. If someone would like to ask the question. Okay, looks like that there are no more questions. Okay, so thanks, Uma. Thanks a lot for the session. It was very informative, and the people who were not able to attend it, they would be also interested to see the recording. Thanks a lot, Gauri, also for helping me arrange this session along with Uma. Thanks. Okay, thanks a lot, and I will share the link to you as well as the other people who are not able to attend the session. Okay,
Thank
thanks.
you.
Thanks a lot.
Thanks everyone for listening and asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye bye.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.